Okay, so I want to dive into a little bit more of the content of this app. I like doing the overview and the troubleshooting, but my favorite part is the content, and I'm a bit of a nerd, so you can take that with a grain of salt. But I want to talk about this section right here, and this is the clinical justification part of the app. And so, in order to do that, I want to back up one step. If you watched the introduction video, then you saw that this app is powered by basically an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to jump into the Excel spreadsheet of the products, and I'm just going to use the BioStep Pro because it's at the top. Now, if we see the BioStep Pro and we scroll over to the right, eventually we get to, is this product PDAC approved? Yes or no? So if there is a yes, then there is a copy of the PDAC letter, which is the first supporting documentation of that. And then there's also this link that will bring you to the PDAC verification website where you can verify that as well. I didn't include these as clickable buttons, but if people think that they would be useful, then I'd be happy to include them. Just let me know what you think about that. But the first step to this section is whether or not something has PDAC approval, and so yes or no. The next step is to start justifying it. So this is the justification spreadsheet, and again, it's just in alphabetical order with the manufacturers, and ALPS just happens to be at the top. So with the BioStep Pro, they recommend the code L5981, and also they have PDAC approval for it. So the description that you see right here is this cell, and it starts with the device is PDAC approved for L5981. It is described as a prosthetic foot composed of a carbon fiber keel connected to a calf shank. Why have I described it that way, and why does that matter? Well, whether or not it's PDAC approved, I always wanted to tie it to the code description. So according to HCPCS, the code description is for L5981, all lower extremity prostheses, flex walk system, or equal. So of course, you're talking about a carbon fiber shank or keel, energy return, that sort of thing. So when you scroll over a little bit more, the justification is what you see when you click here, that justification. Now, just a little bit of housekeeping. IFU just stands for instructions for use, and I just did that so that it wasn't too wordy, which of course I know this is a little wordy, but that just means the instruction manual. So, IFU, the instruction manual description, page 1, outlines the device as composed of a carbon fiber keel. Whenever you see parentheses, that means that I have taken that verbatim from the instruction manual or whatever source. The product flyer outlines it as energy efficient that may comprise the FlexWalk system as described in the L5981 code description. So I have two sources here. I have the instructions for use that describe the product as composed of a carbon fiber keel, and I have the product flyer that outlines the product as energy efficient. So when we click back into the user interface, there's that justification that I told you about, and then there are the two sources. So if you click this button, it'll bring you to the instruction manual. So this is a PDF, and remember I cited on page 1. So in page 1, the description, it says right here, the device is a prosthetic foot with integrated male pyramid. It is composed of a carbon fiber keel connected to a calf shank. So that is the description of the product right there and how it best meets that L5981 code description as the FlexWalk system. And then the second part of that is that the product flyer outlines the energy efficiency that may comprise that FlexWalk system. So if you click this button, this brings you to the product flyer. And if you scroll down, you will see in the key benefits, physiological and energy efficient gait. So that talks about the energy efficiency of that FlexWalk system. So what you're getting here is first a description of how the product meets that code, and they've made it easy for me in this case because it's PDAC approved, but as we know, it's not always the case. And then there's the justification, which means where did I find the information that I've listed here? It's written down and organized, and I have listed the sources. So, as we know, coding recommendation is placed on the shoulders of the clinician. And obviously, it's easiest and most reliable when it has PDAC approval, but that's not always the case. So, what I tried to do with this resource is just make like a public forum for how I could find what information describes that code description and where it's listed in some printed material. So the primary line of defense is the instruction manual. Those don't change very frequently, and so I try to use the instruction manual most often. In some cases, I couldn't always find everything that I was looking for, so I may sometimes back it up with brochures, catalogs, and things like that. But it's always printed and written down and provided by the manufacturer who is recommending that code. Now, that doesn't mean that it's the be all end all. That doesn't mean that you'll definitely get coverage for it. It just means that I tried to describe the product in a way that meets the code description, and I tried to support it with written documentation from the manufacturer. I would love for this resource to be open-ended. I would love to hear from people. Do you like this section? Do you find it useful? Or do you not? Or do you disagree with what I have written? Or do you have other information that you think supports it in a better way? Or, do you think that this isn't useful at all? But that is what this section is for. That is how to read it. That is how to use it. That's what those buttons are for. So I did want to go over the content a little bit just for your benefit and see what you think. I would love to hear from you. Please leave a comment below and let me know what you think of this section, if you think it's useful or not.